Welcome to the High Achieving Parents Podcast. I am your host, Severine Nassens, and I invite you to join us as we explore the reality and family experiences of high achieving parents around the globe. Learn from like-minded parents who do believe balance is possible, but not a one-size-fits-all proposition. Stay tuned for conversations about how my guests juggle successful careers in parenthood to make it all work in their own way. Will we find a common thread throughout these interviews? Let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the High Achieving Parents Podcast. Today, it is my absolute honor to welcome Aja Vancica here with me on the podcast. Aja is a master life coach. She is a thought leader and she's a mentor for other coaches. She's, apart from all that, she is a single mom of 3 young men. And it is my absolute pleasure to have you here with me. Aja, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is my absolute pleasure to be here as well. Thank you so much for having me on. So excited.
Yeah, me too. And this is a great opportunity for you to share with other high achieving parents how your journey has been. What have been your highs, your lows? What have been your greatest moments of joy as you were raising your 3 boys on your own and setting up a successful business? I've seen you at work. Your blog is amazing, and you have so much to offer. So please do share with us, how has it been for you to be a single mom and to run your own business?
First of all, I want to say thank you for the compliment for my blog. I actually really love my blog. And this is a great caveat, or should I say segue, to really talk about, because my blog is almost like a reflection of what my house looks like. It's all over the place. So I wanted to have my blog be something that is that would allow me to actually be able to talk to people about the things that are going on with coaching, with my life, and all of those things. But I didn't want to contain it into, is it just a written blog? Is it a podcast where it's audio? Mm-hmm. Or is it like a YouTube channel with video? So I gave myself the option to do all 3 on my blog. That is the same way what my house looks like, really, honestly. It's just like, what are we doing today? What are we doing next week? What are we doing in this very minute? Sometimes there's just so many different options, and I love that we have options. That has been pretty much the overall flow of how I've raised my kids, is options. options. We moved around a lot, and that was in itself a whole different category of options of where we're going to live and what kind of schooling they're going to go to. I homeschool, they went to regular school from time to time, and just the different things that we've been allowed to have in our lives, them included, has just been a result of me loving change and having options for them. So I hope that makes sense. I love change. So my household is about change.
It does. Well, I think for us that we're in the coaching business, change is like the key permanent thing throughout everything that we do. So you mentioned homeschooling within all the changes that you had with the kids. How were you able to incorporate doing homeschooling with the kids and running your coaching business at the same time?
I'm going to tell you that it was a struggle. I'm not going to even lie. Like in the beginning, it was trying to figure out a time that was good for them. I'm going to say him because at the time it was just the one. I've been in business for 8 years, but I have 2 grown kids, and then I have my 13-year-old. And so this, what I'm talking about, really just applies to him. When I homeschooled him before the pandemic became a thing where you had to have your kids home, I actually homeschooled him for about a year. And it was the time, right? It was just like, where do you find the time that you need to dedicate to a young child who's homeschooling, who actually needs you, and the time that you need to put into your business? And what I found is that like I just had to bite the bullet and get up early and work on things. I had to make sure that I stuck with a schedule that was really, really hard because I just told you that I like change. So it was not a pleasant situation in the beginning. It was not. I had a hard time. I'm talking about tears. I'm talking about 2-year-old hands pounding on the ground, temper tantrums. Oh my gosh, just so much. But eventually, through trial and error, it worked out. I'm not going to say it was perfect because it wasn't. It was not perfect. There were days when homeschooling was, he didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. And it was just too much. And I mean, those were just some of those
Mhm.
days. But then there were days where my, my client calls actually were from the time that they were supposed to be, and I didn't go over. Like I had to learn how to really hone my time for my coaching calls because I talk a lot, as you can see, and they would go over. They would go over, and so I really had to. It was a time of being able to grow, and I'm very
Mhm.
grateful for it. And I think my son is very grateful for it as well. But it's just when you look back at what it all that I had to do with really for myself to be okay with being a parent, homeschooling, and being a business owner and coaching my clients and being able to be there for my clients, it was a lot. Like I'm not gonna sit here and put some the sprinkles on top of the sugar cookies. It was not all
Sugarcoating,
rainbows.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was a lot of storms in there, but what is the saying? How does it go? What doesn't break you makes you stronger. I just really think that that's just what's the case.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I've been in a similar situation. I homeschooled my daughter for a couple of years before the pandemic as well, and
Mm,
what I did find is I needed help. I needed support because it was, like you said, it was too much for me to juggle it all at the same time. Because it's hard to be mom and teacher at the same time if that's not your focus, right?
yeah,
If you're not being I was at that time, I wasn't not really able to be 100% present with her as I
yeah,
was doing the homeschooling with her, as I was also coaching people and running a business and doing a whole bunch of other things. It's hard sometimes, like you said, to kind of juggle all that. And you really need strong time management and a support system. Have you been able to build up a support system around you?
I would say to a certain degree I have, but for me, it was more about. I actually just had this conversation last week with a coach and one of my coaches, and I'm trying to move to Florida this year, and I've got all these problems with my house. And so, like, I was complaining to my coach, like, oh my gosh, all of my money is going to go to my house. I'm going to have to push back my goal of moving to Florida because all of my money is going into this house. And so, what we discussed was me going back to one-on-one coaching to a more prevalent than what it was that I had because I was actually this year trying to get out of so much one-on-one coaching
Hmm.
and to do more group programs and all that. And so my problem was I have a kid that I'm homeschooling, which is a reason why one of the main reasons why I tried to get away from the one-on-one coaching so much, right? And then of
Hmm.
course I'm trying to move, and then I've got all the things going on with the house. And so she's like, "Oh my gosh, you've got like a lot of priorities. Which one is the priority that means the most to you?" Oh my gosh, Severine, I was so, and this was on a call full of people, like it was a group coaching call. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I feel so put on the spot right now, but I have to tell the truth. I'm going to be honest. And this may be very, very concerning to you and some of your listeners, but my answer was my move was the most important. My move, not my kid and his schooling, not my house, but my move. And so, because in my mind, he's 13. He got to live where I told him to live, and he's gonna like it. I mean, I believe that he's gonna love living in Florida because I get to help him create a great lifestyle, right? Like that's just what I get to do as his parent.
Yeah.
And so where I live
Hmm.
is where he goes. So that was not it. So, but then, of course, the homeschooling part is still in there. It's not just he's my kid and he comes and lives where I tell him to live because I'm his parent, but the homeschooling aspect. So, what we came up with is like, I'm just going to have to dedicate that time for homeschooling. in the middle of the day, and I'm going to have to stay up a little bit later, but I hadn't been doing to do my coaching calls. So for me, it wasn't so much about the support more than it was about what are you going to be committed to, and are you going to be committed to the outcome? Are you going to be committed to making
Mm-hmm.
it work? Now, if that means that I have to get support in having someone come and clean my house, having someone come and cook meals, or ordering out, or putting a budget in place so that I can help to do those things, that was more the kind of support that I was looking at, instead of like, the
Mm-hmm.
like having my son, like on days that he's not working, hey, can you watch this kid can you help him with the schoolwork? Instead of that kind of thing being the support, then I looked at other things that I could take off of my plate and to be able to dedicate more to my business, since I was going to have this huge chunk of time that I needed to dedicate towards my son, so that I could take on more one-on-one clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Yes, it totally makes sense that you set up your own support system, and you shift things in a way to make it work. Because in the end, it's like a big puzzle that you have to figure out a way
Yeah.
how to match it all and put it in within those 24 hours that we all have, right? We've got 24 hours a day, so, and we've got full disposition. We can do with them whatever we please. So it's great to see that you've been able to create that support for you and for your son. In the end, we've got young teenagers. My daughter's 13 as well.
Mhm.
They're young teenagers. They're still under our care, and they don't get to choose where where to go until we let them go, right? Now, what
Exactly.
has been for you the biggest challenge as such, being a single mom? Has it been finding your niche? Has it been figuring out how to accommodate everything? What has been the biggest challenge for you as a mom?
I'd actually say dealing with grown kids. I mean, the 13-year-old, I've dealt with a 13-year-old before, but those grown ones, ooh, that's a completely different story. Like, this is new for me because obviously I've never had grown kids before, and they're humans. I mean, they're people, and they make mistakes, and you want to just choke them because you're like, no, I know better. Don't do that. And you want to say, please straighten up. Please do this. Please do that. It's going to be better for you in the long run because you've made all the mistakes yourself. Like, I guess the same would be true for the 13-year-olds too, right?
Yeah.
But as an adult, like, they have a little bit more of, um, what is it? They have a little bit more stake in the game for the consequences that come from their
Hmm.
mistakes, right? So it's just like, that's what I'm dealing with. Is like, I have a son who is living with his girlfriend, and he just moved out in January, and I'm just like, what's that going to end up looking like? It's just like, do I save a room for him to come back home, or do I turn it into my closet? I mean, what do I do? But that's been just the hardest part. It's just really, and I would even go as far to say, really, with me being an entrepreneur, and they work for other people, and it's just like, and they're Black men. And for me, being a Black woman here in America and having Black men, I really don't want them working for other people. I really want them to understand that they're quite capable of earning a beautiful living,
Hmm.
doing whatever it is that they want to do, working for themselves and really having their own. Like, I don't want people to be able to, not just being a Black man, telling them what to do, what they cannot do, when they can go on vacation, when they can get off work, like, even all of that. But also, too, I just think it's important for them as Black men to have their own. So, and everybody knows in the world what's been going
Hmm.
on in the Black community here in America. And so I think that everyone can
Yeah.
understand why that's so important to me. So, like, I remember watching
Hmm.
Dave Chappelle comedy where he said he got stopped by the police, and not to say that he's going to be treated any differently because he's a celebrity and he's rich, but he had the funds to, if anything happened, that he could actually hire a good lawyer and do all those things. And I really wanted that for my
Hmm.
kids. So that was the hardest part
Yeah.
of being a mother and being an entrepreneur. It's just like, dudes, babies, my loves, my grown kids, please listen to your mama. Like, I know everything. And I'm right about
Mama
everything.
knows.
Who
Mama
knows?
knows. But even though, as moms, as we know, and with our own experiences, we can only just hope they don't crash into the wall
Yes,
too
we have
hard.
to allow them to make their
But
own mistakes.
yeah, but as we fall, we get up and we learn, right? And I think we have to allow our children to go through that same process of
Yes,
falling down and getting up and grasping their and maybe they need to get fed up with it, with what's going on,
exactly.
and get to that point where they say no more, I'm out of here, I'm going to do this on my own, right?
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's part of their
I'd
life
like for you to
experience,
tell
but
me
I
when
think
that will be. Can you give me a date for that? Because I'm waiting.
I'm sorry, let me look in my agenda. No, I'm so sorry, can't give you specifics on that.
Oh my
That'd be,
goodness.
how nice would that be, huh?
That
It's
would be
like,
very
okay, we've
nice.
got 362 more days to go until it happens. That'd be
It's like,
great.
where do they
But
sell that manual
sorry,
at
hon.
Walmart? Can I go and get that and just
Oh, we're out. We're out. They're not in print anymore. Sorry. Oh
Oh,
man,
that's too
Aja,
good. That is too good.
how do you keep your sanity with all that's going on? What is it you do for yourself to
You're
keep
so
your
funny.
sanity?
I'm not sane. That's so funny. That is the best thing, is that I'm not sane. That's why is that I recognize that I get to just be cuckoo. Well, let me tell you, I have my me time. Like, that is a non-negotiable. It is a non-negotiable that I in the mornings, like I'm an early riser, and so I'm usually awake before anyone gets up in the house. So that's a good thing for me. And I can just sit on the couch and I'll have my cup of whatever, matcha green tea latte, my chai, my coffee, whatever, and I'll just sit. Like, just sit and look like a crazy person just staring out of the window. Like, I'm just sitting like this with my cup, but you can't see my hands, but my cup, I'm just sitting. I'm just looking out the window like a crazy person. And it just allows me to look at what's going on in my brain. Like, what's going on in there? What is my brain
Mm-hmm.
offering me? And I get to actually make decisions on what my brain is offering me. All the what ifs, what if I don't get any more clients? Because I'm a single parent, my business pays for our living, right? So it's like, what if I don't make the money that I need to make? What if I lose a client? What if I don't know how to help this client? What if I don't know if my Facebook lives are converting, or my Facebook ads or whatever, like all of the what ifs that come up. And then, of course, along with the what ifs, there's always the, oh, you're not doing a good job, or, oh my gosh, like this is just all wrong. You're breaking your business. If you're changing this up, you're just breaking everything. Like, all of the things that my brain offers me, I get to just answer those questions. And I think that part of the reason why
Mm.
we are not sane, like we allow the overwhelm and the exhaustion to come up, is because we just don't answer those questions. And if we just answer them and just like, oh, okay, I'm just going to answer it, then it'll allow our brains to kind of say, okay, well, next, or I'm done with that. Okay, it's not really a big issue. Like, what if all of my clients, I don't get another client tomorrow, and all of my clients go away, what would happen? What if? So it's like, well, what would I do? I'm just like, well,
Mhm.
I just start my business all over again, or I go get a job. I mean, whatever. It's just like you get to just answer those questions, and that kind of keeps you sane. It kind of cuts off a little bit of the rolling down the hill, the rabbit hill, into this, that, and the other, which we can tend to do very easily if keeping on going with the crazy, right? So I do that a lot. I take bubble baths a lot. And even though that doesn't matter sometimes because you have kids, it's like, Mom, gonna have some chips all through the door, through the bathroom door, so it's sometimes that doesn't work, but
It'll always be that moment they need you.
right. But
Yeah, they will
trained.
always need you right that time you're in the bathtub. I get that.
They have been trained
But
quite
I'm
well
happy.
lately
Yeah.
to know that that's just my time and I need it, and just leave me alone. Like, I'll be out. I'll be out. So I try to give them, it's like, what do you need before I get in? Because what do you need? What do you need? Because I'm not answering any questions once I get in. So, and it's funny, my kids can
Mhm.
be right in the other room. We'll be texting each other.
Well, I think it's important you bring up that part of self care, showing that to your kids that you do
Yeah,
take care of yourself, that you give yourself that space and time to reflect, to reload, to answer those questions that are going on in your mind, to kind of push those negative thoughts out the window, and bring that positive energy in. Um, to get started in your day is a huge way of modeling to our kids on how it's done, and for them to be able to understand that mom is a human being. Mom also needs her space, her time, to take care of her own world, because every head's a world, right? We're all in our
oh my
own
gosh,
little world here.
yes.
So thank you for
I
sharing
love
that.
that you said
Now,
that.
apart
I tell
from
my son that all the time, that the mom is human. That's something that I tell my 13-year-old all of the time. It's like, dude, you're like, I'm a human. What if I treated you the way that you're treating me? I'm still human at the end of the day. I'm human first before I'm mom. So it's just like, what if you looked at me as a human and not just mom?
that is so powerful to have them look at us as regular human beings. I remember being a youngster that I would like totally look up to my parents, and I would have them like up there on a
Yeah.
pedestal.
Hmm.
And then in my adult life, I came to the understanding that they're just another couple human beings making mistakes, and whatever happens as we grow as parents, we make mistakes. We make tons of mistakes,
Right.
and for our children to be able to
Exactly.
see that we also make mistakes as they make mistakes is such a relief. It takes, for me, it takes a lot of the pressure away to have
Yeah,
to be able to see eye to eye with our kids on that. Now,
I agree.
Aja, what would be your key piece of advice for other high achieving moms and dads out there?
I would say to really look at the the whole process of how results are created. And this doesn't just mean about how results are created in your business, but how results are created in any part of your life. And I think that we all understand that a result is created through an action, right? Something has to happen in
Mhm.
order for you to get something. But what we don't always consider is what we were thinking or believing in the moment that actually pushed us to take the action. And if we would recognize that all of the situations that are going on in our lives, it's not it's not what's actually making us feel bad. Like our kids, they're not taking out the trash. We're like frustrated, like, oh my gosh. And it's really not that that is the problem. It's really what we believe
Mhm.
about that is really the problem, that pushes us to take the action of getting mad and start yelling. And then the result is we have kids that yell, or nothing gets resolved because we're yelling, or whatever. So really,
Yes.
to understand that the result is created because of what we're believing in the moment, not because of the actual
Mhm.
situation. And that is so heavily the reason why the work that I do is so important. This is why I do it. Is it doesn't just fit in business. It fits in everything. It fits in why we are mad at our husbands, or why we even actually why we love our best friends or something like that. It's not in the situation. It's what we believe about our best friends. And so of course it creates a beautiful feeling. It's like oh my gosh, like I love her so much. Like, oh my gosh, she's so awesome. Like that's a belief. It's something that we're thinking about that person. It's not the situation that she bought you a present. It's what you're making it mean. Right. So, and that's about in everything. So I think that what I would leave everyone with is just that. It's just like really kind of track back. What is the result that you have, and how was it created? What belief were you having in the moment that created that result? That's what I would offer.
Amazing. And working with belief systems is one of the key elements of your work. where can people find you?
I have a Facebook group, Freedom Supply Society on Facebook. And also freedomsupply.society.com is my website. They can get on there and read my blog. I've got the audios, a couple of videos, I think, and some written content. There's a bunch of freebies on my courses. So I would invite them to first just join me in the group. There's lots of content in there. Freedom Supply Society on Facebook.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Aja, for sharing. I will make sure to drop all the links down below so that people can click on them and go check it out. Thank you so much for joining me. You have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you so much. And again, it's been my pleasure.
I'm already looking forward to our next session. What was your major takeaway from this one? I'd love to hear from you. Come and share your insights with me on social media at Coach Séverine Nassens, and visit highachievingparents.com for more information on how you too can find clarity and obtain the tools to find fulfillment in both your professional and family life. Talk to you soon.